In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, I want to show you that it is not reasonable to follow the Bible. Now, imagine that you are walking in the street and you suddenly find a book. You open it and it's talking about God and about what people have to do so that God will be pleased with them, and about what God wants us to do and about what God does not want us to do. But the problem is you do not even know where this book came from. You do not even know who wrote this book. Now honestly, would you follow it? Well, if you've got a brain, then you definitely won't. So what if I show to you, what if I prove to you that the Bible is really like that? That'll be a disaster. I'll be talking in this video about the Gospel of Matthew. This is the Canadian University of Crandall, which is firmly rooted in the Christian faith. Crandall is operated by the Convention of Atlantic Baptist Churches. So let's go ahead and see what these people with this university has to say about the Gospel of Matthew. Who wrote the Gospel of Matthew? The Gospel of Matthew is anonymous. Well, it starts really well. The book is anonymous. There is no name on it. There is no internal direct evidence for authorship. There is no internal direct proof for authorship. Sometime early in the 2nd century, the Gospel of Matthew was designated as such. This at least offers prima facie, which means at first sight, evidence that the Apostle Matthew wrote this work. As far as internal, indirect evidence is concerned, 3 data should be noted. So they are telling you that the book is anonymous. There is no direct proof for authorship. There's no name on it. But they're going to try to show you 3 stupid proofs that the book was written by Matthew, and even you Christians are going to agree with me that these 3 proofs, the 3 of them are stupid. So let's go ahead and give them a chance. Proof number 1, that Matthew was the author of the Gospel of Matthew. Much of the teaching material unique to the Gospel of Matthew is only fully understandable by and of interest to a Jewish readership. What? Is that your proof? That only Jews of that time could understand the God's teachings? You stupid scholar. Matthew 7:17-20. Sayings relating to Jesus' view of the law in relation to the kingdom of heaven. Jesus teaching about the taking of oaths. Jesus teaching about almsgiving. What does all this suggest? See that? What does this suggest? It suggests, it's not even for sure, it's just a suggestion. Christianity is a religion based on suggestions. So what does this suggest about the identity of the author of the Gospel of Matthew? It suggests, again, it suggests that he was a Jew, because a Gentile would tend not to be interested in such teaching tradition. Come on, what makes you think he was a Jew? Was he a Jew just because he was talking about religion? If I talk to you about medicine, does this mean I'm a doctor? As if Gentiles were goats. They could not be interested in religion. Proof number 2, that Matthew was the author of the Gospel of Matthew. The author of the Gospel of Matthew, more than the other synoptic writers, explicitly cites Old Testament messianic prophecies as having been fulfilled by Jesus. This is best illustrated in Matthew, Isaiah, Matthew, blah 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 blah. What can we conclude? The man is trying to guess. It's not certain. He's just trying to guess. What can we conclude from this about the identity of the author of the Gospel of Matthew? What kind of author would be interested in Jesus as the fulfillment of prophecy? It suggests that the author was a Jew, since the Jew would be concerned to understand Jesus as such. God damn it! Is that your proof? That only Jews could talk about religion? Is that how you take religion? Do you Christians see now how these Bible scholars are trying to fool you? This Bible scholar is but a damn no-good fool, and if you believe him, then you're not better than him. Proof number 3 that Matthew was the author of the Gospel of Matthew. Only the Gospel of Matthew refers to Matthew the tax collector in the list of the disciples. Being a tax collector was not something in which to take pride in Jewish culture. What might you conclude? Well, me, I do not conclude anything. But you see here that this Bible scholar is trying to train the Christians to think like him, to make them fools just like he is. So what might you conclude? Again, conclude, it's not even for sure, it's just conclusion suggestion. What might you conclude from this about the identity of the author of the Gospel of Matthew? It is possible, and again, it's just a possibility and nothing for sure. Do not forget, everything is uncertain. There is nothing sure. It is possible that this was an attempt. This is really foolish. This was an attempt at self-depreciating, sort of self-identification on the part of the author. So in other words, Matthew is identifying himself to us. He wants us to know that he was the one who wrote the gospel. By what? By writing his name on it? No, he didn't. But by showing how humble he was. Do you see? Do you see how stupid this Bible scholar is? So Matthew wants us to know that he was the author just by showing how humble he was. It is possible that this was an attempt at self-depreciating, sort of self-identification on the part of the author. Now let's go ahead and have a look at their external evidence. Oh, nothing but lies. How can you have external evidence when you do not even have internal evidence? I really feel sad when I read what Bible scholars write. The earliest piece of external direct evidence for authorship of the Gospel of Matthew derives from Papias. This Papias thing is one of the early leaders of the Christian church. Papias makes the following obscure statement about the origin of the Gospel. Matthew composed the saying in the Hebrew language, and everyone interpreted as he was able. Although at probably best, do not forget, nothing's certain. It's all about suggestions, god damn it. Although it probably best reflects the meanings of Papias' statement, this translation is not certain. The following are legitimate questions. Does the verb translated above as composed mean that, or compiled, or arranged? Do not forget, nothing certain. It's doubtful. It's a doubtful religion. It's a doubtful book. Does the word translated above as sayings, logia, mean that, or gospel? It's doubtful. It's uncertain. Does the word translated as interpreted mean that, or translated? Well, I'm not saying this. It's not me. It's a Bible scholar who's saying all these things. These other translation possibilities render any interpretation of the meaning Papias' statement uncertain. Come on, what's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you Bible scholars? You Christians, you shouldn't believe your priests and your pastors. You should investigate. Finally, I'm quoting from the New American Bible, and you can find the same commentaries on their website here. They all say the same thing, or even worse. The unknown author, whom we shall continue to call Matthew for the sake of convenience. Did you hear that? Just for the sake of convenience, just because it suits their purposes, just because they want it to be this way. These people are brainless. They can't think, they can't try to find out the truth. They just believe in that because they want Jesus Christ to be the Lord, to be God. They just make the truth. They just make their truth. The unknown author, whom we shall continue to call Matthew for the sake of convenience. Thanks for watching, and please follow with me the next videos about the Bible. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.